Hello, hi guys, JRTV here. Just checking in, want to share some ideas with you. Danger. Okay, how dealing with danger. This is how I'd like to recommend it. One of the big ideas is called the $20 solution. Giving somebody $20 to appease them, giving them $20, $40 to encourage them to not fight. A lot of situations where there's actual potential inevitable physical violence, it's people who are in situations where they're feeling unheard, ignored, disrespected, and perhaps in some way taken from, perhaps of their possessions or money, something. So so you see a conflict, first identify who the actual adversary is, or the actual real danger, right? Two people might be arguing, but you may notice one is physically stronger. And another thing, you always want to assume that people are armed, be it a box cutter, which can quickly kill someone, or other weapons, hidden or whatnot. They might even be a woman or someone who you might not expect to be a threat, but they could very well be, So part of, like I said, verbal and physical conflict. Verbal, it's everything generally starts off as verbal unless it's premeditated. And by the way, especially people who are wealthy or have notoriety, celebrity, you need to realize that people might target you, and they can easily target you if you are out in public. Like, it's easy to attack somebody. Somebody can just run up, or somebody with a purse, whatever. It's a quick action, and like thieves, like police will look at what the person's wearing for an identifying factor, and they can change their clothing or their appearance. So bottom line is to realize that some people might be upset. They could quickly snap if they're in public, and sometimes when people see a person who's either wealthy or happy or whatever it is, it could make them upset and resentful. They may be poor or angry, and they may retaliate. So it's useful to look perhaps poor. I think it's also useful to wear a wedding ring, because it shows that at minimum you're possibly not a threat to a person. You're possibly not gonna try to seduce them or that you just have short-term goals or agenda. And then somebody may be wearing a wedding ring to pretend to be married, and so you've got different categories of people. And I want to relate it to the concept of the chakras, right? I'm always talking about this because it's simple. It's people are either trying to meet their basic needs, fulfill their desires, or wants. Their other emotions. Sexual desires is second chakra. Then their other emotions is the third chakra, sense of empowerment and whatnot. And of course, you have the rules to the exception. For example, the drug addict. They may not be concerned about their basic needs, and they may just be operating exclusively off of this addiction. They may be smart and be able to cunning and able to convince people of things and whatnot. And then you have people who are really interested in, perhaps they're controlled by their sexual energy. I think people masturbate every day, activate that chakra and control their own desires. And they don't wish that other people, they don't want other people. See, the big mistake is thinking that, they need this person to activate that second chakra, and that gives people power over you. but they're of course manipulators, in particular men, be they hetero, homosexual, or bisexual. I've noticed that especially the men who are attracted to men, they don't care if the other person's not homosexual. They just want to seduce them. We have to address this as a society. I don't think it's ideal to be homosexual. I think homosexuals can have a wholesome life and be married and everything, but it's not as easy. Particularly men. Oh, nice home. Particularly men who, they're just men in general. They seem to want to seduce either men or women for sexual activity, and it's just a it's just an objectification. And I think the source of that objectification is labeling somebody your parents, grandparents, when even if they're nice people, they're your quote unquote legal biological family relatives. The idea of labeling somebody the role of your authority makes you angry at a fundamental level, and therefore people it's an objectification, and therefore people objectify others. And so this is obviously, it's not exactly a danger, but it's for example, if perhaps somebody's attacked or even goes so far as to raped, there's still much worse things that can happen. You can be, in third world countries, not have enough food, have to prostitute yourself. And by the way, that's sometimes people resort to, even in first world countries, essentially prostitution, giving their body because they either want the other person's body or giving their money. It's that happens in first world countries too, so be cognizant of that. The point being here, guys, is what's the point here? The point is that there are all forms of danger and hazard, and we need to be conscious of them, identify what chakras people are in. Do they look like they don't have their basic needs met? Look at people, see if they seem angry. Don't wait for people to say whether, that's one huge mistake people make. They wait for somebody to say that they, want to have engage in sexual activity with them, or they are angry, or they're hungry, or they're desperate. People, they'll kind of wait for the other person for a verbal cue, but you need to be able to read people before it ever comes to a verbal cue, because in verbal it could be too late. They could have you in their car, in their house. They could have some leverage on you, like you owe them a favor. They gave something to you for quote unquote free, or they offered you money for quote unquote free, whatever. So bottom line, guys, a lot of people don't see the dark side of humanity. I don't know how many people do or don't, but it's out there. I've seen it. And if even if you isolate yourself, doesn't matter. In your next reincarnation, you might experience great unpleasantness. So my current outlook is I don't have interest in children or family right now, or even a dream mate like I talk about, because I want to make the world a safer place. It's a cool Tesla there driving by. I want to make the world a safe place for us all, and a place where I would want to bring children into the world. Right now, another, I think, underlying factor of, say, school shootings or initial